Hi, my name is Allison Denny with Rebel Massage, and I am a practicing licensed massage therapist, and I'm here today to offer you some tips and tricks to help you with your forearm and hand massage during your treatment. So the first thing I want to do is start warming things up with some effleurage. This is always a good go-to to just get the blood flowing, get the muscles softened up a little bit, and I'm really just taking my hands and winding them through the entirety of the forearm. I'm going to slide down into the hand to start the connection, have things feeling connected for the client, and I can start to kind of dive in and do a little bit more opening up, allowing things to start to relax and unravel. I always like to think about tight muscles as unraveling. And as I do that, I want to make sure that my client is really letting go. Her hand is nice and loose and letting go, so I can see that the muscles are nice and soft. Okay, so once things are warmed up, I'm going to dive in with a little petrissage. There's some good muscles right here on the lateral part of the forearm. These are the extensors that extend the wrist. This is the flexors that flex the wrist. And on the extensor side, I'm just going to offer some petrissage to start to pull these muscles up away from the underlying structures, away from the radius on this side, ulna on this side, and giving them a little bit of relief from all that gripping they do. All these muscles come down and create actions in the hand. And the hands are doing stuff all day long, so I'm just going to offer a little relief in here. Good. So now I'm going to focus a little bit deeper into the extensors, and as I do that, I can create a little bit of a stretch. So as I slide up towards the elbow, I'm going to create a little bit of a flexion in the wrist. And this is going to allow these muscles to lengthen as I push up towards the elbow, opening up that myofascial stretch and allowing these muscles to, like I said, unravel. Good. Checking in, just making sure everything's okay. And making sure that my work is detailed, so not staying kind of in one line, but moving across all the extensors and playing around with movement. And then I can do the same thing on the medial side. In the flexors, coming in here, I'm going to hook my thumb into my client's hand and just pull the wrist back into extension as I slide down the flexors. Same thing on this side, up to the elbow. You want to avoid coming up right into the crux of the elbow. There's some nice vessels in there and glands that we want to avoid pressing on. So as I slide into all of these flexors, things are starting to stretch and open up. Good. I'm going to twist my way all the way down into the wrist and offer the carpals a little relief. There's 8 little carpal bones in here, and all I'm doing is taking my thumbs and squeezing into the back side of the wrist and using my fingers to sink in right underneath where the palm starts. So I'm sinking in here and I'm just opening up the carpals. They are typically pretty compacted, so I'm pulling and I'm tractioning down as I'm creating a slight flexion and extension of the wrist, opening things up. Good. And now I want to get into the hand. People love hand massage. This is always the juicy part. So I'm going to do what's called breaking the bread. I'm going to use my thumbs and the palms of my thumbs to open up the back of the wrist, the dorsal side of the wrist. And then I'm going to open up the front, the palmar side, just by taking my hands and hooking into the palm and opening up the palm. So pulling down on the back of the hand and then pulling out and open, pulling the pinky and the thumb out apart. Down and open, down and open, breaking the bread. Good. And once I've done that, I can come up, interlace my fingers, and start to open up the palm with a lot more detail. I'm going to open up what's called the thenar eminence here and the hypothenar eminence on the pinky side, and I'm just going to start to draw little circles in the palm, thinking about that palmar fascia that tenses and gets really, really tight with all those things that we do with our hands, the typing and the texting and the gripping and the white knuckling. And just offer a lot of openness and space and bringing in a lot of blood flow. And I like to give the thumb a little extra love because it is a very complicated joint and can get arthritic and tense. You want to pay attention to that with a little extra care, creating a little friction into that group of muscles that pulls the thumb into opposition across the palm. That can feel really good. Good, opening that up. And then bringing it back down into the wrist, creating some nice circles, lifting up the arm, letting the elbow act like a pendulum. Good. And then as I bring it back down, always following all the way through the fingers. And with the fingers, I like to take the flat side of my finger on the inside of the hand here and use my thumb to squeeze everything out the fingers. Make sure you give the space in between the fingers, in between all the phalanges, some love. The more detailed your work, the more your client feels it. And out each little finger. Same thing, giving the thumb a little extra love. All the way out, good. And if you want to offer the wrist a little bit, you want to offer the arm a little bit of a jostle, shaking everything, connecting everything together, and pulling out towards the end and letting it fall down to the table.